The grocery store was buzzing with its usual chorus of chatter, beeping registers, and carts squeaking across the polished floors. It was an ordinary afternoon, ordinary for everyone, that is, except the young cashier standing behind register number 3. Her hands trembled as she tried to scan a carton of milk, the nervous energy in her face betraying that something was deeply wrong. She kept glancing toward the line, almost as though she were searching for someone who might save her. And then, as if fate had designed it, the man standing before her was none other than Senator John Kennedy. Kennedy, known for his sharp wit and unshakable presence, wasn't the kind of man you'd expect to find making a quiet grocery run. But there he was, basket in hand, buying simple things of bread, eggs, and coffee. When his turn came, he placed his items on the belt with a polite nod. The young cashier's hands shook so violently that the loaf of bread slipped and hit the floor. Kennedy bent down to pick it up, offering a warm smile. "Happens to all of us," he said. His voice was calm, reassuring. But behind her forced smile, Kennedy could see fear. Something was wrong. As she handed him the receipt, her hand lingered for just a second too long. Slipped between the thin paper was a small folded note, written hastily on the back of a grocery list. Kennedy felt the tremor in her fingers as she placed it in his palm. He looked at her eyes pleading silently, her lips pressed tight as if she couldn't dare speak. Kennedy gave a subtle nod, then walked a few steps away before opening it. The note read, "Help me. I'm not safe. Don't say anything." Kennedy's chest tightened. He looked back at her, and in that instant, he noticed something chilling. A man leaning against the wall near the exit, watching her every move. His posture was aggressive, his eyes sharp, and his hands fidgeted inside the pockets of his jacket. Kennedy's instincts sharpened like steel. This wasn't just a nervous employee, this was a cry for survival. He took a slow breath and knew he had to act carefully. He returned to the counter with a deliberate calmness, pretending as though he had forgotten something. "Ma'am," he said with his trademark southern politeness, "I think I may have left my wallet in the bag. Mind if I check?" She nodded, confused but playing along. As Kennedy leaned closer, he whispered just low enough for her to hear, "Stay calm, I'll handle this." Instead of confronting the man directly, Kennedy walked over to the store manager and, in his usual clever way, struck up a loud conversation about store policy and security cameras. He spoke just loud enough for the man by the wall to hear. The tension in the air was palpable. The man shifted uneasily, realizing that Kennedy wasn't just another customer. He was drawing attention, pulling invisible strings without raising suspicion. Then Kennedy did something no one expected. He pulled out his phone, dialed quickly, and with that steady Louisiana drawl, asked for a friend at the local sheriff's office. His words were casual, but the weight behind them was unmistakable. Within minutes, 2 officers quietly entered the store through a side door. Kennedy gave them only a subtle glance toward the man. The officers closed in swiftly, and before anyone could fully register what was happening, the man was restrained, handcuffed, and escorted out. The store went silent. Customers froze in mid-step, clerks stood wide-eyed, and the cashier covered her mouth with both hands as tears welled up. She had lived in fear for weeks, trapped in a dangerous situation with no one to trust. That one note scribbled in desperation had been her only chance, and she had slipped it into the hand of the one man brave and steady enough to act. Kennedy returned to her register, placed a hand gently on the counter, and said softly, "You're safe now." "It's over." His words broke through her fear, and she collapsed into quiet sobs of relief. The entire store erupted into applause, not just for Kennedy, but for the courage of the young woman who dared to ask for help. When everything settled, Kennedy didn't make a speech or seek attention. He simply helped her wipe away her tears, reminded her that life always gives second chances, and told her never to doubt her own bravery again. "Sometimes," he said, "all it takes is asking for help, and sometimes, God puts the right people in the right place at the right time. The story spread across the town, then across the nation, capturing hearts everywhere. People didn't just see a senator protecting a citizen, they saw a human moment of courage, kindness, and quick thinking. For the young cashier, it was the moment her nightmare ended. For Kennedy, it was a reminder that true leadership isn't about the spotlight. It's about seeing the unseen, hearing the silent cries, and standing up when others are too afraid to move. And so, what began as an ordinary day in a grocery store ended with a powerful message that left the whole area and eventually, the whole country stunned. A simple note, a trembling hand, and a man willing to act turned fear into hope, and silence into freedom.